All right, hey everybody, thanks for joining us this afternoon for episode 40 of Cage Side Convos. I'm coming to you guys live from Ludwig Martial Arts in Broomfield, Colorado. Real quick before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our first sponsor back home, the Farm to Table company. It's a little company started by my friend Logan Yancey. Essentially what it is a co-op that's trying to link local farmers.
Keep it rolling.
Done already, Sensei?
I got it regular. Good. Keep it rolling.
So it's trying to link up local farmers that have products with local people that need these products, okay? So if you want to check them out, Farm to Table Company, their website is F2TCO.com. Again, Farm to Table Company. Check them out. They're doing awesome things with the local community. Yeah, so this week,
Farm
guys.
to Table.
Farm to Table.
They ship to homes or what?
Yeah, so some of them are doing shipping, some of them you have to go there and pick the products up live. And right now it's just in northern New York, and it's all linked up with local farmers. They have
cool.
the products. So you know, with the lockdown and everything, all these farmers were dumping milk and getting rid of products and stuff. So this company started to kind of remedy that because farmers had products,
That's cool.
people needed them, and they were just cutting out the middlemen of the stores and stuff.
Neat,
Yeah, it's a super exciting initiative we got going on. It's still pretty brand new, but hopefully we're be able to grow it into something significant. Yeah, so guys, this week, again, like I said, we're coming to you live from Colorado. I'm here with Sensei Duane Ludwig and Sensei Sam Coutts of Ludwig Martial Arts. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for coming out.
Cheers, gentlemen.
It's rocking.
So, first thing I want to talk about is you guys just released the Tao of MMA. It was you two, you guys got with Professor Alberto Crane, Master Coach Trevor Whitman, Super Ninja TJ Dillashaw, as you put it, and of course Sensei Boss Reed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a good little thing because all these gyms, academies, dojos are teaching information, and it's good that they all should, right? So we all get aware of the information, but I want to have the experts come together and dissect what the actual basics of MMA is. So the Tao, the way, just a basic MMA curriculum for everybody to follow, because there was a study done by Reed Kuhn where he studied the results of 2,000 mixed martial arts fights, and out of those 2,000 fights, he was able to determine that there are 3 main takedowns that happen in an MMA fight. So all this, woulda, coulda, shoulda, scenarios, perspectives, what actually takes place in 2,000 MMA fights were 3 common takedowns: a double leg, the single leg, and then the body lock, the outside trip from the body lock. So 3 takedowns. There's 5 submissions, the jab and the overhand, a body kick and a low kick. So it's very, very basic information that actually takes place. Because I've been to a million gyms over the years, and there's always a different perspective because we're all different from each instructor on what you should be doing in training, right? Okay, that's still good, that's fun. It's good for people to get their perspective in order and to share it with the world so they can understand it as well. But what actually takes place? When a fight happens, what techniques occur? We were able to dissect the information. Well, the information was dissected from Reed Kuhn studying the fights, right, break down all the results. I just took the information along with the experts that are within my field, who are the best experts in martial arts today and possibly ever, because of the knowledge of the martial arts that we have now is greater than it's ever been. And we brought the experts together to, again, break down what actually takes place and put it into a lesson plan. So it just takes away everyone's perspective and style and erases everything. Like Bruce Lee said, Bruce Lee's pursuit was to find out what actually takes place, what actually do you need to train in a fight. And that study proved it, and then we brought the experts together to break it down so that the common people can perfect it, can understand it, to hopefully perfect it, because it's discovering, developing, and then mastering, even though nothing's ever mastered, but the journey along mastery is the actual goal. So, short story, broke down the basics of MMA, the actual basics based off of statistics.
Awesome.
Most of the things that we do are awesome.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
and then just put that on the website. Our video guy, AJ, put it onto podia.com. We have this little website on Podia, and it was the Tao of MMA. So Tao, it's pronounced with the D, but it's T-A-O of MMA, Tao of MMA.
Yeah, we'll put a link for that on the Facebook page. We'll put a link right under that, guys. Check that out, especially if you're
fitness, martial arts, self-defense. Every school owner, everyone should really get this course. They really should. It's pure, it's genuine. It's not anyone's perspective other than what actually takes place. So it's unbiased. It's beautiful. It really is. The numbers don't lie. I guess unless you lie about the numbers, right? But the numbers don't lie. As long
Don't
as
make
they're
it
honest. And
political.
they're honest. And that's one thing that martial arts extracts is the truth in the scenario. So that's the beauty of martial arts, where there's no actual race, religion, or anything, just pure honesty. And that's the beauty of the dojo.
Awesome. And that's don't lie, right?
Nope, they do not.
Sam,
You rely on the mats.
Yeah, lie on the mat. Sensei's gonna take a nap. Sam and I are gonna chat for a little bit. Do you have anything to add? Fill in. I mean, not that Sensei Ludwig ever.
Yeah, it was,
I always do.
it was a lot of fun kind of being like fly on the wall and watching Sensei and Sensei Boss and TJ and maybe the guys like they're in the corners on the UFC fights I'm watching on TV. I get to like kind of sit, hang out, watch them do it. I got to do a lot of the jiu-jitsu with Professor Alberto Crane, which is really cool. It was a lot of fun and eye-opening too. Just there's so much techniques we train and other people being like, oh, should I do that technique? Should I be working on this technique? And then to see like the experts like Sensei and Sensei Boss and Trevor actually break down what actually happens. It's not that much. Right?
Yeah.
3 takedowns,
Yeah.
5 submissions, and I have like all my jiu-jitsu students who can we work on omoplatas and this and that and this. I'm like, how good you rear naked choke? Because when we looked at the number of sensors going over this, the rear naked choke was like double the very next submission. It's like if there's 100 rear naked chokes, whatever the number 2 is, was like 50 occurrences. It was like half of it. So it was like it was cool to see how to narrow your focus and where. Get a good jab, get really good at countering the jab, basic kicks, and one of the things I believe Sensei was saying was a lot of single power shots and a lot of fights. So to think more about like the chopping we've been doing and that kind of stuff. It was really cool for me just to kind of be a little part of trying to soak
History.
up
History.
the knowledge from all these
Developing martial
the
arts.
masters.
Literally, like today's masters, and people, there's quite a few, especially over the past, not so much now, but the past, there's a million martial art masters, right? Martial art, master this, master that. Get the fuck out of here. Like, you've never fought, but you're a master of martial arts. It doesn't really make sense. But you could be a master instructor, because there's many instructors out there who've produced champions who haven't actually fought. So they could be a master of teaching, master of performing as well. So there's different levels of mastery. But we were able to bring in today's masters of the martial arts. So, like Sensei Boss, Trevor, TJ, Alberto Crane, Sensei Coutts. So we literally we don't call ourselves masters, but if there is a level of mastery, we are hovering in that zone, that's for sure.
Sensei just sounds cool.
Yeah, it does, Sensei means history teacher, from those who've come before us, is all that means. Just teachers what it means in Japanese, since most of this stems from the Japanese, which is my first art was Kyokushin Karate with Joko Nomiya, which is a kancho now. I choose to still bow on the mat, line up, wear the rank shirts, have the belts, have order and structure, because that's how we got here, through the discipline of martial arts. Boom.
Excellent.
Carry on, Rick. Sorry, ADD will kick
in. No excitement whatsoever here.
I love this.
That actually, while we're there, something beautiful you said Monday, I believe, after training, last night. The mats are absolutely packed, and you were just excited, and everybody's getting warmed up and moving around and stuff. And I look over, and you just got this huge grin on your face, like, it's just so much fun. Just excited, and but it brings that. Such an authentic
passion's
energy,
contagious in here, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that kind of cultivates that desire for mastery, right? Because I think when you come in your first day in the mats, I don't think that you necessarily understand what mastery is. Oh, no. And I think if you try your first day to focus on mastery, I think you can be overwhelmed. Right? Agreed. But when you come in and you see somebody who's at hovering in that mastery realm, as you so humbly put it, you feel that, and then you can look, and especially here you can see through the ranks. So you have your white, yellow, orange shirts, blue shirts, purple shirts, brown shirts. You see this gradient, and you can see how everybody is working towards that level, and it gives you a little bit of hope, and it gives you a little bit of focus for being here, for being now, and for letting the kind of develop, letting the way kind of present itself to you.
Nice,
right?
I like it. Good job, Rick. Yes, agreed, indeed. So, I'm not quite sure what mastery is.
Right.
You're right. Especially with the constant evolution of change in general in every aspect, whether things are actually changed or you just understand things different on another level. Or listen to an old song and like, oh, that's what he's saying in the song. Like, dang, all right, I like a little bit more. And you're like, wait, what did he say? So you just start coming across different pieces of information, right? So more layers become brighter to you, more layers become discovered after years go on. So just like what Bruce Lee said when he first started training, what was it? A punch was just a punch and a kick was just a kick. And then after all these years, he realized a punch isn't just a punch, and it isn't just a kick, and then he goes back to actually it is just a punch and just a kick. So this whole wave of understanding things is really cool. So the other thing they said, which is really cool, which goes back to the Tao of MMA, as far as where should you spend your time on developing yourself in the arts, was off these basic takedowns, submissions, and strikes. Now, with that being said, he said he feared the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times versus the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once. So it's beauty and repetition, right? So it's not a race, but to enjoy the journey, because it is long and slow. And the turtle, what is it? The turtle wins the race, not the hare. So yeah, making sure you're focused on the path. So
Absolutely.
yes, sir.
While we're on Bruce Lee, something I think about a lot, and actually a question I posed to my Thai students kind of before I left, something for them to think about while I was gone, is the journey of 10,000 hours. So 10,000 hours, 10,000 repetitions, right? This is an insurmountable amount of time when you first start, right? Especially when you come in and you realize I only did this for 5 minutes. It's going to take me 50 years to master this, right? It gets overwhelming. So what I asked, and what I'd really love to get y'all's perspective on, is what happens over the course of that journey of 10,000 hours? Because when you get to 10,000, you're not done. Right? When you get to 10,000, you keep going because you've done over 10,000 hours of training.
And
itself.
there's a saying from Gichi Funakoshi, who is the man credited for leaving Okinawa and bringing karate to mainland Japan. So he has a saying that karate is like a pot of boiling water, that if you don't keep it consistently heated, it'll cool. Sure. So the same thing with anything that you've learned to develop and possibly master, is that the less you do it, the more it's going to go away. The more you do it, the closer you'll get to it. So it's a constant base. You have to stay on top of things for sure. So once let's say you've mastered something, or you start stepping into the mastery zone, understanding it, well, you have to be there at a higher level of frequency to keep obtaining that. Because if you get there and then do something else, you forget about it, it's gone. So lose it. What is it? Use it or you lose it.
Sure.
Easy way to say it, right? Yeah. So staying on top of things.
So maybe it's that you cultivate. So as you're going
Quality
these
reps.
hours, you slowly boil this water, and then once you get there, it's a desire to keep this water boiling that keeps you going forward, right?
It's much easier to keep the fire going than it is to start it too, right? So make sure you have that together ready too. One thing I'm not quite sure if he coined it or not, but my wrestling coach, Lester Bowling, he would tell us in the wrestling room is if you get ready, if you are ready, you don't have to get ready. Stay ready, right? Stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Right.
So it's good.
Absolutely. So, Sam, you got anything?
I think as far as like the 10,000 hours go, I think if you really commit yourself to getting there, I think along the way, that goes away. The 10,000 hours number goes away, and it stops being like the point.
Sure.
You know, like you have like that
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, like by the time, like with jiu-jitsu, I'd say by the time I was like a purple belt, probably like purple belt, I didn't really care that much about being ranked. But when you're like a 2-stripe white belt on the mat, like, I can't wait to be a 4-stripe white belt on the mat, I can't wait to get my blue belt, I can't wait to get my purple belt, and then I think along the way, just it's not, you kind of realize it's not about the destination, like the journey is the whole point, you know, like enjoying those 10,000 hours, getting as much as you can on the 10,000 hours is more of the point than hitting that actual number. And just like, enjoying the journey. That's what Sensei said all that.
And with the 10,000 hours, it goes back again to quality reps, because if you come in and throw a shitty technique for an hour, well, that's a wasted hour. You maybe got a good workout, positive environment, and that's actually the main goal, is just to enjoy your journey. But to physically get better, mentally and spiritually get better, you need to focus. Clear the brain doesn't mean to overly dwell and force it, but to allow it to happen with the quality reps, right? So it's quality, not quantity. Everyone knows these things, but once the energy starts flowing, start getting lost in the sauce, right? So it's important to learn to slow down. That's the coaches, the instructors, the sensei's job, is to lead the students along the correct path and let them know the intensity level, where the focus should be during this drill, right? So if we're doing the Dutch drill, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 piece combination, where should you focus? Well, there's a lot of pieces you can focus on with just one punch, right? So not getting too lost in the sauce, just allowing the flow to take place. Make sure you're enjoying the journey, but again, quality reps, because you can't come in and just fuck off for an hour and think you're gonna get better. It's not gonna happen. You have to enjoy the flow. But if you had a rough day, maybe fighting with somebody, and you want to come in and just clear the brain, go ahead and do that as well. So it's quality over quantity, and that goes back to, again, the Tao of MMA. What should we practice at what intensity level? That's all been broken down. Because how many black belts have you seen? Honestly, I've seen a ton. I won't put you up. I've seen a ton of black belts that fucking suck, and it's annoying. I hate it. It's like, you can't be a black belt and not know how to throw a fucking low kick, or throw 2 hands, or throw a jab, right? It's a disgrace to the arts. Someone has to be held accountable for that.
Right.
So that's us. That's us instructors, to make sure that we're leading the pack and leading by example, so everyone's actually doing the techniques correctly. But what's correct is hitting, not getting hit, on a technical aspect that has been broken down.
Right.
Boom.
Okay.
I'll get upset right now. No,
I
quality
wanted it to be
control,
a-
right? Quality control, which is why I'm glad the affiliate instructors like yourself come out here to headquarters, because there's so much that can only be translated through the video and a 3-hour seminar.
Right.
So the people that have to come here, they need to come here, and the ones that don't, they fizzle off. I let them fizzle off because I'm not going to babysit people. I want them to earn it and deserve it, and I'm not going to sit there and text you and call you and message you and, hey, how you doing? Where you going? Will you just do this? A little bit to an extent, I will. But I'm not going to babysit people. You have to earn it and deserve it. So I'm glad you came out, lady. Good job.
very,
Not all they
very
feel the
happy.
coaches do. They don't. And then when they show up to test and we do a seminar, they test, they don't pass, they know why.
Yeah.
Because there's I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say half the information that I want to convey through the video gets conveyed. The other half, you need to feel it. Like, tell me how different it is being here versus watching the fucking video, right?
Leaps and
I
bounds.
mean, the beauty, the technique, I mean, the videos themselves, I learned so much from the mirror neurons of watching things and feeling it, through the video. But physically being here and part of the energy is totally different. So yeah,
Absolutely.
learning how to run a class. Because there's a million things that I do naturally that I don't know I do either. Because the body knows things before the brain does. So there's things that I'm doing in the class to run the class and show the techniques that I'm not articulating. That might be my fault. It's not breaking down every aspect, but I also don't want to break down every aspect either and tell you everything. I want you to do again, earn it and deserve it.
Right.
So boom. That's all I got. I'm gonna be quiet now. Casey, nice pink gloves. No worries with 2020, baby. I like that.
Kind of tying back in the quality reps into the 10,000 hour thing, what I found interesting is that, say, I put in 3,000 reps on learning to throw a jabber across, right, or to do a takedown. And then once you get to that mark, you actually realize, okay, well, this detail right here, this little sprinkle, right, is going to refine my jab, but it's going to refine it, it's going to change how I throw it in such a way that I have to restart.
Yeah.
So, you almost, you say, okay, well, these 3,000, they were okay, but they weren't the quality that I want. So you almost restart. And I think too, kind of to your point, Sam, that's what, after 2 or 3 times of putting in, all these hours and then feeling like you have to restart, you're just like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm not going to count the reps. I'm not going to count the hours. Exactly. I just want to get
And
better.
don't count them. Feel the flow.
Yeah.
Drill it until you feel it.
Right.
I'm not gonna do it for 1 minute or for 10 reps. If the drill it until you feel it, and once you feel it, keep the flow going.
I don't know what I'm sure it would be a crazy number. My class attendance here for BMT classes.
Oh, he's done
gotta
probably
be-
99% of my
Yeah, it's gotta be
classes.
thousands of classes.
99.5%, 99.9%.
But I don't log that as like a win. Like I've done 100 more classes than the next guy. I'm winning.
Yeah.
I would for sure. I would
But,
post
like,
it. I would tag.
But the Sensei said that my
promote that.
technique was clean. Sensei said that like the power
He's
was
awesome.
the right. Or was
Sensei's
the,
a martial artist.
was the rhythm correct? Like that's like the goal now. It's not like how many hours do I put in, how many times do I rep this combo. It's like, oh yeah, Sensei wanted me for that thing. Well, that must look sharp. I know that's like what he's wanting to see, and that's there's a goal shift too, I guess. Like I was saying with my jiu-jitsu belt, like purple belt, I wasn't really thinking about like getting a black belt. I was like, I just want to get good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But then the goal shift again, because I'm a brown belt, running a program and have students, then you do need the black belt at that point, because then you better be able to continue your students' journey, because I can't just promote them to brown belt and then leave them there. So then your goals like shift too. So
Absolutely.
now it's just like I would like to eventually like be a master instructor. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, mastering what a million. You can master showing up to the dojo on time. You can master starting the class, running the class. You can master the jab, master the combinations, master the system, master your own flow and system. So many things and levels of mastery. So having the goal shift is important to keep you engaged for one as well.
Absolutely. Teach all those things.
Yeah.
I master doing it myself. I like to master explaining them.
Holding
teaching.
pads, right? Doing Dutch
Exactly.
drills, articulating the Dutch drill, running a seminar, running a half-hour class versus an hour class versus a 3-hour seminar. There are different things.
Definitely bits and
do,
pieces all of it. The seminar was different than just running a dojo class. Everybody being a new face.
Yes,
Switch it up a little bit.
Well, it didn't show that it was new for you. That was,
Oh.
when you
Yeah,
came out of
awesome.
business,
Thank you.
that was quite a bit of fun.
I get to watch, like I was saying with the Tao of MMA, I get to watch masters teach and kind of like,
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
what do they do?
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have great mentors, that's for sure.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So my own personal path that the Tao of MMA kind of put me on. Bruce Lee is the Tao of Judo, so kind of essentially the
Same
way
thing,
of martial arts, but kind of modern day Tao of MMA.
Dissecting martial arts, continuing his project
Right.
to an extent.
So what works? What's for him? What works well for him? And then adding his own flavor to it. And then with the Tao of MMA, there yes, there's 5 submissions that work, but everybody's going to have a little special way that they do it and they implement
Yes.
it. Still getting to the end goal, but their path, their journey might be a little different. So what that got me thinking on was kind of the Tao philosophy. Now Taoism is its own kind of philosophy, but if you look at philosophy as a whole, from the Stoics through Buddhists, Confucius, through the modern, like William James and the modern American philosophers and stuff like that, what you start to find is that there are very specific things that every single philosophy has in them. So in my mind, kind of creates the overall arching way of philosophy, right? And something that you guys talked about, something that's very consistent across all philosophies, is the journey. It's not the destination, right? And it calls for us to be present, to be here, right? So we focus in the moment and allow ourselves to experience it and feel it without thinking too much about long term, right? So it's important to make plans, but it's also important to allow that path to shape itself. So kind of maybe expand, if you guys would, even a little bit deeper on that, how that's maybe shaped up in your lives for martial arts.
Well, I like what the Sensei said as far as, his goals have shifted, and they shift to keep you engaged for one, because you don't want to get burnt out. And there's so many areas and levels and layers of the game to discover, to then develop, and then to potentially master. So finding the way that's best for you, in all honesty, right? Tao way, finding the way of MMA mixed martial arts, because it should be, I think martial arts should never have been dissected. It should have been boxing or kickboxing or in any modified MMA. It should just be doing what the Greeks were doing.
Right.
There's a full-on pancration, but making it a little bit safer with some gloves and some regulations to keep the longevity of a human, so they could fight more and have an active career and not be too handicapped when they're done, so they can live a normal life after, right? So, which is some things that I'm working on, is recovering from all the fights and training that I've had with stem cell therapy and PRP and living a good, healthy, clean lifestyle and following the Docha diet and having good people in my life to help guide me along the repair path, so I can be around here for years for the family, for the business and the students. So the way, so again, what's the journey is to be the best fighter in the world for a time, and then it's to be the best instructor. Now it's to be the best martial art instructor for a school, not just a team of fighters, but then still be able to take care of the fighters and the average people, the civilians, whatever you call it. So again, the goals shift throughout the time as they should, but the overall goal is then find the way for you to develop and extract one's full potential, and then share it back with the world, right? Because we have gifts given from God, and it is our job and our duty and obligation to develop them, and then once in turn share them back with the world. So that's the journey. That's how my journey is. When you're a fighter, you have to be, it's a selfish journey, as you should. You got to focus on yourself, be a little narcissistic asshole, but be nice, respectful, of course, right? But you have to focus on yourself and mind your business and become the best you can be, so you can fight and win. And then once you know that, what lesson did you learn? Now let's pay them forward, right? So it's the same theme and motif throughout life, is to leave the village, obtain some knowledge, bring it back to the village, and share it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Marcus Aurelius' quote that comes to mind is, "The duty of man is to do good to all men."
Yeah.
So kind of brings to mind, again, this is another
golden rule from Jesus: do unto others that you want done unto you.
Absolutely.
Does that mean you hit me, I hit you?
Yes.
No, it's you help me, I help you. That's the much better view. Rick.
Hit and don't get hit.
Yeah, hit, don't get hit. What that says, all right, yeah, hit, don't get hit. But then, with that being said too, like it's sparring, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah,
you hit me with a low kick, I want to throw a low kick right back. So predicting the patterns of the future as well. But sorry, the golden rule, Marcus Aurelius, same golden principles come across, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing what
and
others.
I think what you end up extracting from this across the arts and philosophies of the past 4,000 years is a sense of community, a sense of mutual obligation to another to help them grow, but also I think it's necessary that we keep in mind that we need to accept help too, and accept guidance as well.
Yeah.
So can you guys maybe speak to maybe a time when you felt stubborn and you had to kind of learn to understand your ego a little bit and put that aside and start accepting help, and maybe a little bit of growth that you experienced from that?
Well, for me, one thing with me was like I was known to be a good striker, and then I went to MMA, so I had to learn the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, and then in my beginning years I rolled with people who were better at jiu-jitsu than me, and they're just a civilian. A civilian means someone who doesn't compete, but I competed in the UFC at the time, and I'd roll with like blues and purples, and I'd get tapped, and they thought, they were cool because they tapped the UFC fighter. And I'm like, listen, motherfucker, if you were fighting with the top shit, I would beat your ass. So it's learning to control that ego and let them feel like they've won, even though they work at a fucking cubicle, which is cool. They tapped the UFC fighter, okay, but that shit bugged me for a lot of years. So I had to learn to, again, swallow the ego and keep rolling and keep doing things, and let these civilians teach me lessons that you have to swallow your ego and realize you're going to get you're literally going to lose in this competition inside the dojo to someone who doesn't compete. That's a hard thing to accept. It really is for me. Like still to this day, I'm like, motherfucker. Like where like you do drills, you're drilling with somebody, and they like you go hook low kick, and then they touch you on the low kick because your hands are down, whatever, and you're like, if we're really fighting, you wouldn't be able to do that, motherfucker. So it's hard to not do that, but it's not hard also like you have to make sure that you being the instructor, like being the pad holder, being the drilling partner, if they were actually blasting you with a hook low kick, you wouldn't have been able to be so calm and composed and to be able to deliver that counter, right? So it's a bit of a catch-22, but learning to control the ego and put yourself in those fires and learn lessons from people who are literally below you on the totem pole of martial arts is a lesson that's still a hard one for me to accept, to be honest, but I had to get over it to learn and grow. But like right now, like, I've rolled longer than, well, for you too, and you're a black belt, I'm still a purple belt. I've rolled longer, probably not as many hours as you, I don't know, I'm curious about that. But he's better at jiu-jitsu than me. He's focused on jiu-jitsu, I focus on the MMA jiu-jitsu aspect, right? So, but he is my senior in the jiu-jitsu world, and he knows more information than me, right? So I have to learn to put my 100 fights aside and go and learn from Sensei, and I do because he's a phenomenal instructor and knows his stuff, which is why he's here. So it's a trick, you know, it really is to be able to be like, oh, you know, like, okay, he's my student, you know, it's BMT, but in jiu-jitsu, he's my sensei, my professor, my instructor. So you gotta learn to switch the roles and learn from people. Again, some people have that ego, they don't want to learn and travel and train, they want to stay in their bubble, they're not gonna grow. That's one thing that TJ does. He travels quite a bit. St. Pierre always did that, travel quite a bit. How many people do we have come through here and travel a little bit, right? And there's, like, we have people that moved out here from other states just to train here. You know, like one of my highest ranked students is Mike Baker. He moved out here from Pennsylvania to learn the arts, right? And he's been a phenomenal athlete, great work ethic, and he's been kicking ass.
Crew, huh?
Yeah, we got quite a few people from Pennsylvania. Actually, we got to start closing the doors.
More Pennsylvania.
We got enough.
Yeah. No, nobody more from the East Coast.
But as far as controlling the ego and learning your role and stuff, and
it's interesting you say that because I think I came through kind of the opposite journey because I'm a small guy and was way skinnier and small when I started jiu-jitsu. So you're coming from already being in the UFC and then having to kind of quell your own ego to be able to roll with like civilians, like you're saying, that aren't actually like fighters and competitors, and then maybe thinking they could beat you up because they tapped you and you know it would never happen in a real fight. For me, it was the opposite because my professor is a jiu-jitsu professor, is a giant dude, and his brother was a big dude, and they were brown and black belts when I started, and I was one of their very first white belts. So for me, it was the opposite. It was like, oh shit, I hope these big guys don't kill me today. You know, like, oh, I don't know what he's doing, my arm's going the wrong way, tap, tap, tap. Like I was like the opposite of that. So for me, instead of having to like squash my ego, for me it like built it up a lot, because then being one of the first white belts and then being a 3-stripe white belt, and now there's no stripe white belts that have 30-40 pounds of me that I can just roll up because they've been training for a month, I've been training for 6 months. For me it was really like confidence building in that way, because then I was also like the first blue belt in the academy. So then I think by that point it could be anybody coming on the street. If they were brand new white belt, they could be the biggest guy in the room, it could be a bodybuilder, sumo wrestler size. There was no like worry anymore. You know, it's like I know where it's gonna go now.
Jiu-jitsu is the most beautiful art. It really is. It's the most pure. It's the most effective art. It really is. Like for one-on-one competition, any venue. Well, I guess not any venues. You can't do it. There's like 2 or 3 people beating your ass. You can't do jiu-jitsu. But for a one-on-one scenario, jiu-jitsu, no weapons. Jiu-jitsu is the best for sure. You said it's the most pure art there is between boxing, anything else. Sorry.
Yeah, but it felt. But I remember like you training and. You know, Elliot training, the guy, like it was when I was a white belt, blue belt, there was a huge crew of guys at Grudge and Easton that were. I was literally watching. I'd seen you on TV.
The original the fight team that's now
I just watched Elliot go to the Ultimate Fighter show and stuff. So
Easton. Yeah.
I got really lucky with that. I got exposed to guys like you and all those other guys like right away too. So I was like a fly on the wall at some of those trainings where like guys like Sensei are like rolling, getting ready for fights. Elliot's just got out of the TV show and he's not allowed to say where he placed it, even though we all kind of knew he was going to be in like the semis, but he couldn't really say it yet. And yeah, so for me it was opposite. It was the opposite. Sensei was already like way up here, and then having to learn jiu-jitsu. And for me, I was like a karate nerd as a kid, and like I was like Van Damme and Ninja Turtles still do.
Yeah, still do.
Still like nerds. So like
I'll whip all their ass.
yeah, right. So for me, it was like I guess opposite to that. So it was interesting to hear that.
Yeah, so what's awesome is one of the things that I love most about San State Premier classes is just a very very close-knit community, and I think you find that in a lot of jiu-jitsu places, but especially here, man. And everybody, and most of your guys are, it seems, blue, purple belt level. You know, guys have been here for a while, so you've grown this good community. And I wonder if maybe kind of your history and the path that you've grown up through really instills that in your mind, how important that focus of community and cultivating and encouraging new people to grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's not. Yeah, we do have, just the dojo in general has a really good community feel, which is interesting because I'm not, like, if you see me teaching, like, especially like running a class, you might think like, oh, Sam's super social and outgoing, and I'm really not. I'm like super like quiet, like, I'm like,
introverted.
Super introverted.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah, like I like to like walk my dogs with my headphones in, like I just like be in my house, and like I'm kind of, like Sam said, introverted, but teaching, it just like, comes out, and you just don't even think about it. It's just like you just passion, enjoyment, and then like Sensei, his classes, there's always like a good like community feel, a good bonding. He's always like attentive to people. So if you watch like that kind of stuff, you pick up on little things. And you can try to implement them yourself, and you get to watch like the highest level instructor. If I'm like in the class and I'm also instructor, might as well also be not just watching the technique, but also watching for teaching cues and running the class cues. And also, Sensei brought everybody back in to go over this one detail. Most people must have been messing that up. I gotta make sure that if there's a detail everybody's struggling with, that I readdress it like Sensei. I got to get to watch like grow that way too, not just like in his class with my own technique, but if Sensei wants me to cover a class on Wednesday, I need to be able to reiterate his information. As well.
That's the beauty of, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
As far as any instructors out there, school owners and whatnot, lay out a weekly plan for your students to follow. I mean, how are they going to get better? How are they going to get those quality reps if they're doing different drills and techniques every freaking day, right? So have a general theme, stay on that theme, but obviously you can veer out that a little bit, but there should be the same general theme throughout the week for the students to actually get better. That way, if they train something on Monday, they come back Wednesday, it's not a whole new class. They can still pick up where they left off from Monday. So that's the important thing as far as having an actual curriculum and a game plan for them to follow. And then the students are going to know if you have their best interests at heart. If they're jumping around with stuff all the time and they're not getting better, then you're expecting them to get better. How's it going to happen if you're not giving them the same drops of water throughout the day? So make sure you have somewhat of a curriculum and a game plan for them to follow to actually get better on. Quality, again, over quantity. But what's the goal? For them to get better or to enjoy the journey? Combination of both. So let's say you have a half-hour class, spend 20 minutes on the same focused theme drills, and then the last 10 minutes, whatever, you have fun. Tear up the bags or whatever maybe. There should still be some learning aspects involved with that journey. As far as a couple instructor tips there, business tips maybe as well.
Yeah. I know personally, once that was one of the big things I kind of extracted from joining the Zoom classes and stuff over Python. I noticed, even if the combination might have been slightly different, even like what you're doing now, the theme is still the same, the concepts are the same. And once I started implementing more of a plan structure, kind of like what you do with your jiu-jitsu program as well, you see a huge uptick in knowledge retention. And then when people start getting better, whether or not that was their initial goal, because some people come in and they want it, as you explained, they want it to be a gym and they just want to come in and work out and sweat. But if you structure the program correctly, eventually what you've done is you've cultivated this desire to grow. They want it to be an academy, or they want it to be a dojo. All of a sudden, without even realizing, all of a sudden they're in this place where they're getting better and their focus changes.
It's like turning those B students to A students.
Yes, there we go. Yes, so A, B, and C students. A C student is going to come in for 30 days and leave no matter what you tell them, no matter what happens. They're going to leave regardless. A B student is someone who, if you give them more attention, they could turn into an A student because they want to get better. An A student's going to stick around for life. A B student can also become a C student if you don't give them any attention, okay? But an A student is a lifer, so and the B students can become C's, they can become A's. The C student, no matter what you do with them, they're going to leave regardless. So with the A, B, and C students, where should you spend your time? In the C's, should you sit there and hold pads for them for half hour? They're going to leave in 2 days anyway. Is it really worth it for you and your time to do that? No, they're going to leave regardless. So I wouldn't spend too much on the C students. The B students, turn them into A's, because A's are lifers, and those are the guys that you want to have stick around, actually see them develop, see their weight loss, see them become better drilling partners, have them take the new student on the mat to show them the depth chart, show them the basic numbers. So you should spend your time on the B students, obviously the A's as well, to keep them A's. You'll turn them into B's and into C's, but Keep your attention on the B's and the A's because the C's are going to leave regardless. And that'll take some time for you to develop their personality and maybe off the questionnaire to know what their goals are for being here. We'll help determine that if they're A, B, and C level students, and that'll help direct your vocabulary and your coaching curriculum to them as well, what words you should use. With that being said, and also, what's our job? Is to help extract their full potential, help them become the best version of themselves, and our tool is our martial arts. So making sure that you're able to do that is the tricky aspect, and it's developed over the time anyway. So again, A, B, and C students, make sure you're spending your time appropriately on the actual students to make sure that you can keep the doors open for one, and the students engaged for two.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. I love it.
With that being said, this place is one of three or all three. It's a gym to work out in, it's an academy where you learn, or it's a dojo. Dojo is where you find your way, okay? So it could be one of three, or all three. That's up to you, where your heart is. And sometimes it starts off as a gym to lose some weight,
Sure.
and you realize, oh, I'm actually getting better. What's the next piece? What's the next step? How do I get the yellow belt? How do I get the orange belt? What are the requirements? Well, here they are. You start learning, then you start finding your own flow on the Dutch drill. It's not just like a robot. You start finding your flow, and it becomes your way. So it went from the gym, academy to dojo, and you didn't even know, but I got you, baby.
I love it.
It's fun.
Passion and purpose. Passion, I've heard defined as, so passion is for us, and then purpose is for others.
I see that, yeah, and we're gonna use our passion for the purpose to develop people and help them learn, share, and grow. And going back to the golden rule, to pay it forward,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So what's all these years and lessons and fights and titles and things that you've accumulated over the years, now what are you doing with it? Are you gonna go work as an electrician, a plumber, a foreman, Walmart, Taco Bell, whatever it may be? What are you gonna do with that? Well, I feel for me personally, all the knowledge I've gained over the years from my instructors, if I were to just forget about it and lose it because I'm not using it and go back and work a regular job, I think it would be a disrespect to all the people that spent their time investing into it over the years. So I take it as an honor and a privilege to pay it forward now, right? And that it's my purpose though, to share martial arts with the world, and people benefit from that in many areas, like we went over from weight loss to self-defense to fighting and so on to instructing and stuff. So yeah, I like that though. Yeah, my passion is my purpose is my passion. It's the same thing, is to help out, give back, uplift, and inspire.
And I think ultimately when you have that equation, right, passion plus purpose equals fulfillment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel pretty fulfilled. There's still quite a few goals that I want to accomplish in the world, kind of in the business side now with things.
Sure.
And they're coming together as far as having the actual goal in mind, but being flexible with the approach, because I'm running into things. I just had a call before this freaking interview, which is a little bit of a left turn, but being able to what is it, roll with the punches,
Right.
and be able to find another path to get to the goal. So but going back to your question as far as purpose and passion, I like that. Your purpose, your passion should be your purpose for others. I see that. I like that. But they should actually go hand in hand and coincide with one another. What do you think about that, Sensei?
Yeah, I like that. Go hand in hand. Yeah.
So for you, Sam, I guess what, because like you said, once you get to that purple belt level in jiu-jitsu, you realize like I don't care about the rank anymore. I want to be better. So at that point, I think very clearly that became a passion for you. Now, passion and purpose for a lot of people don't necessarily always coincide.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes people, can be passionate about a hobby and something. Maybe they're passionate about working for Taco Bell. But their purpose is they
I'll
work
make
at
the best taco. You know what? It's funny. So I used to work for fucking Kmart, right? I used to clear the you know what Kmart's are?
Yeah.
So they're not around anymore. So Kmart's was like a superstore, like a Target and what else would you say? Whatever, superstore.
Yeah.
And so I clear the parking lot with buggies. They clear to go pick up the buggies and shopping carts, bring back into the store. I thought I was sponsored by Kmart. They're paying me to work out. They're paying me to run around this parking lot and collect the buggies. Back up, Rick. I got this.
Right.
I'd have the whole lot cleared, and they would give you these Kmart dollars you could spend in the store. It's fake money outside the store. Be something. Oh, I was balling. I was making it rain. I love that job.
stacks.
Yeah, because I was
That
training,
Kmart
fighting at the time, so I thought, I'm getting paid to work out, to go
Yeah.
run and grab these buggies, get a big old line, put them in the store. So, that was my job. But I figured out a way for that job to coincide with my goal of actually being a martial artist, getting paid to work out. So you can find ways as long as you have a good attitude. I was on a call yesterday with this loan rep, and she's like, any improvements on the building and stuff? And I was like, the only improvements that need to be made are my attitude. And that took me a long time to figure out, so it's your perspective. I've just taken this podcast over. I'm going to be quiet. Gentlemen, carry on. I'm sorry.
I don't want to draw attention to it, but that is the fourth time you've said that.
See? Yeah. Keep just letting this go.
So you find something that you're passionate about, and I
Yes.
think passion has to be cultivated over time. So maybe it's the first day you come in, maybe you weren't passionate about jiu-jitsu. You didn't know you were going to do it forever.
That's kind of true, actually. Jiu-jitsu wasn't really what I was looking for. What I was looking for was striking. And the school I started at has multiple locations around Colorado, and one happened to open up really close to where I was living at the time.
Right.
And I had a buddy come over. That, you know, one of my buddies would watch UFC together, that kind of stuff. And he told me, hey, you know, there's a martial arts school that's opened up down the street. And the sign said, like Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, all this stuff. We actually only had Jiu-Jitsu going at the time at the location that had just opened. So I went in there looking for striking and or MMA even, and got talked into a Jiu-Jitsu intro class. I did the dive and clinch from a haymaker. I did the hip throw and the rear naked choke. And I remember specifically the hip throw, that was the seller for me, because the instructor that I did the class with was a 200-pound guy. I was a 130-pound skinny 18-year-old. So it shows me like the cover clinch, hip throw, and of course you hip throw me. I'm tiny, you're giant. It's stupid. And he was like, all right, now you do it to me. I was like, this guy's an idiot. Wants me to hip throw. But then when you feel the leverage, your hips get under them and their toes leave the floor, and you're like, oh, it's possible. This works. This isn't like I went to a kung fu class and he was like, yeah, if you karate chop someone in the neck, they go to sleep. And you're like, sure, I guess I believe you. It was like, I felt it. Like I picked him up, I threw him, wrapped up his neck. You see him going red. He tapped. And you're like, oh, I'm choking this guy. This works. And then that got me doing jiu-jitsu. Just you could see the practicality right away. Like, oh, okay, that works. I'm a little guy. If a big guy swung at me and like body locked him in a clinch, I could wrestle him to the ground. I got behind a guy that didn't know how to do jiu-jitsu. I could get his neck and I could win. I could defend myself that way. So I definitely wasn't that passionate about jiu-jitsu to start. I was passionate about martial arts, but not specifically Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But then after that made me passionate about it. But I was also really new to being a parent. I had Peyton, my son was maybe 2 or 3 when I was starting jiu-jitsu. So I was also in the early stage of learning how to be a parent too. So then learning jiu-jitsu and then learning how to like coach right after that and then putting that together. I don't know if it was a happy accident or if it was meant to happen or how it's all subjective how you want to look at it. But teaching seemed like it was kind of like meant to happen for me. And to teach. Just having Peyton young, you know, having all these teach your son. And then I worked in like preschools and after school programs and that kind of stuff too. And then learning at the same time all kind of grew into coaching pretty early on because I was running like kids classes like blue belts, starting to teach like the blue belts because I was the first one out of the academy and everything. So I guess you could say like it was meant to be. You could say it's like a happy accident or however you want to look at it. But I guess the stars like a line for me to be like find the passion in teaching and then like pass that on. I guess
I like the universe acts with intent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So so it seems like through that almost an accidental discovery of what ended up becoming a passion and your purpose kind of united. And I mean,
it was like Sensei was saying, it just kind of like became one thing. Like, oh, I like doing this. Oh, teaching's really fun. You see somebody else learning, you see that little spark, and they're like, oh shit, I just hipped out. You're like, yeah, dude, you hipped out. Like that, and you're like, oh shit, so it did. Like you see, just kind of like.
You're waiting to see your plants grow.
Yeah. It's amazing. Absolutely.
It became the one thing, I guess. Yeah.
And so obviously, I mean, this would probably go without saying. I think there's a great amount of fulfillment in both of your lives from uniting this passion and this purpose. I mean, you've been here for how long have you been training with Sensei Ludwig?
Been 4 or 5 years.
4 years, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So and I mean, you, especially in the martial arts world, I don't think people stick around places long term if there's not a connection.
It's
fairly good turnover.
There's a couple things, there's like go back to ABSC students, right, and what their purpose is and what you can provide for them, and remembering their names and making sure you take care of the students when they're not getting hurt in class and be able to structure the drills and ask people to calm down or to pick it up and the proper equipment as well. So there's a lot of things that can help prolong someone's career in the arts if handled properly. Absolutely. Gotta take care of people.
Coach Trevor talked about that. You guys talked about that together when we were kind of in between filming the Tao of MMA about how he was saying he'll still get pro-level sparring where somebody will get kneed in the head with no knee pads. And he's like, where are your freaking knee pads? You're a professional, dude. And like even at that level, like it's not always there. So like making sure that even on like the basic level, our new white belts coming in, like since it's the wants them to be safe and get to the class, because one of them gets they get a hard low kick in that partner for whatever reason, and that shin pads on. Maybe the dude's a truck driver the next day, he can't drive his truck, he's limping around. He's like, well, I have a passion for that hobby. Do I want it to fuck up my work week though? Like maybe not.
There's four things: show up on time, get better, get tired, take care of your partner. Four things that all require accountability. So those 4 things are nice little things for people to follow.
All right, gentlemen, I got one last thing, and again, so kind of the Tao philosophy, right? One of the biggest tenets, and I think, personally, the most significant thing I found in my life that has led me towards a happier and more fulfilling life is gratitude and the practice of gratitude. Can you
Nice.
kind of speak to that?
I like that. Yeah, is you're gonna get out what you put in, right? So if you're always talking shit on people, then bad things are gonna come back. But if you're always speaking good things and pointing out positives and getting your perspective, make sure you have a good positive attitude, and you're on your path to your goals, and that's just gonna reflect throughout your life. So if you're gonna be happy, positive, focus on your goals, life will be a little bit better for you than if you're a negative asshole.
Perfect.
Right? You know what? Someone honks at you or flips you off, what do you want to do? Flip them back off, right? But don't get caught up in that bad energy. Just like, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And then
Thank
you try
you.
not to
Wave,
be like
keep
that.
on
Yeah, right?
driving.
Yeah, be gratitude. Be thankful for what
Let
we
it
got,
roll
right?
off.
Yeah,
Live in
absolutely.
beautiful America and Colorado, and a dojo, good students, right? Happy, healthy family and wife and life. So I have great training partners and students, and business advisors and business partners, and things are good for me. So I'm gracious to have affiliate instructors as well that want to invest their lives and their time to actually get better and make the trips out here, and not just watch videos and think they're going to get a belt mailed to them because they're watching freaking videos. It doesn't work that way. So I am gracious for affiliate instructors like you and instructors like you, Sensei, that are part of the system and sharing the arts with the world, because we need more positive influences in the world to help people learn and grow. Because look what's going on out there today. It's a bunch of crazy mess. So if more people were accountable and leading by example, I think we'd be in a better position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Sam, you got anything to tack on?
Yeah, I think obviously your mindset matters a lot. Staying positive matters a lot. It's easy to dwell on negative things. It can be tough to find positives and focus on the positives, but it's always worthwhile. It's always beneficial to do that.
Yeah, even when things are bad, understanding that forward progress is the only way to get through it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even being grateful for the negative things, the weights that we have to carry.
You're looking at them as like a
Lessons learned.
challenge. Like, okay, shit, I didn't want to crash my car on the way to work today, but shit, I'm gonna hustle some more private lessons. I'll get that bumper fixed, or whatever it may be. You can always put a perspective on it or a positive look on it.
Yeah,
Like,
there's lessons to learn.
Yeah, like my left hand's bugging me. Well, shit, I'm gonna increase my right hand power, my right hand dexterity over the next couple weeks. Let my left hand feel up instead of well, shit, I'm just not gonna go to class. I'm gonna sit at home and drink a 6-pack and sulk because my left hand hurts. It's like, you got 2 legs. Work on your knees. You can always trying to keep that perspective in mind.
Turning obstacles into opportunities, right? And which is cultivated through having a gracious, having a grateful mindset, right? Always seeing opportunity in whatever is presented to us, and being grateful for accepting what the universe gives us and responding accordingly.
Responding accordingly. I like that.
Boom. Awesome.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Sensei Ludwig, Sensei Coutts, thank you guys so much. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, check out the Tao of MMA. If you have any interest whatsoever in any kind of martial combat, in fighting, in self-defense, anything, these guys have the numbers, they have the techniques, study them, invest your time wisely and with the best in the world. Visit Farm to Table Company, especially Northern New Yorkers. Check that out. Again, F2TCO.com, Farm to Table Company. And again, live from Ludwig Martial Arts with Sensei Duane Ludwig. Ludwig? How do you say it?
I say Ludwig. It's correctly pronounced Ludwig, but we're in America. Ludwig. Close enough.
Sensei Duane Ludwig, Sensei Sam Coutts. Gentlemen, thank you so much again.
Yes, sir. Boom.
Clear.
Okay, Jones, mama. Who called?